Kunja Bihari. Jai Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari. Gopi Jana Balababa Girivardhari. Gopi Jana Balaba Girivardhari. Play Madanga. Madanga. Yashodanandana Brajajanarandana Yashodanandana Brajajanarandana Yashodanandana Brajajanarandana Yashodanandana Brajajanarandana Yamuna Tira Vanachari Yamuna Tira Vanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Krishna Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Rama Hare Rama, Rama Hare Hare. Oh, Premanandi. Jai Om Vishnupada Paramahamsa Parivrajacharya Ashtota Sadishla A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada ki Shri Shri Gaurnitai ki, Shri Shri Radha Govinda ki Jai, Grantaraj Srimad Bhagavatam ki Jai. All glorious to the assembled devotees, all glorious to Sri Guru and Sri Gauranga, all glorious to Sri Prabhupada. Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prastaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swamiti Namane Namaste Sarasvati Deve Gauravani Pacharine Nevasesha Sanyavadi Pastichade Shatarni. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
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 Hare Krishna. Today we are reading from the Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 3, Chapter 5. The text 45, I think, is it? Yeah, we did 44 the other day. Today is 45. Is it on the board?
No.
No. This title of this chapter is Vidura's Talks with Maitreya. And today is quite a long purport. So if you can find it. Now, translation into Ukrainian. Yeah. How many of you need a translation? Can they hear you?
Yes.
They have very good ears. So if you have any problem, put your hand up and we'll see if we can adjust. So this verse continues this conversation. Please repeat. Tan, Vai, He, Asat, Vitibihi, Akshibihi, Ye, Parahrita, Antak Manasaha, Paresha, Ato, Na, Pashanti, Urugaya, Nunam, Ye, Te, Padanyasa, Vilasa, Lakshaha, Tanvaya sadvittibhirakshibirye Pararitanta manasak paresha Atona pashanturugaya nunam Yete padanyasa vilasa lakshaha Tanvaya sadvittibhirakshibirye Pararitanta manasak paresha Atona pasyanturugaya nunam Yete padanyasa vilasa lakshaha Tanvaya sadvittibhirakshibirye Pararitanta manasak paresha Atona pasyanturugaya nunam Yete padanyasa vilasa lakshaha Tanvaya sadvittibhirakshibirye Pararitanta manasak paresha Atona pasyanturugaya nunam Yete padanyasa vilasa lakshaha
Tanvaya sadvittibhirakshibirye
Tanvaya sadvittibhirakshibirye
Parahritantar manasa parisha
Pararitanta manasak paresha
Atona pasyantirugaya nunam
Atona pasyanturugaya nunam
Yete padanyasa vilasa lakshaha
Yete padanyasa vilasa lakshaha
Tanvaya sadvittibhirakshibirye
Tanvaya sadvittibhirakshibirye
Pararitanta manasa paresha
Pararitanta manasak paresha
Atona pasyanturugaya nunam
Atona pasyanturugaya nunam
Yete padanyasa vilasa lakshya
Yete padanyasa. Ladies, Matajis, not all at once. Tanvaya sadvittibhirakshibirye Pararitanta manasak paresha Atona pasyanturugaya nunam Yete padanyasa vilasa laksha Tanvaya sadvittibhirakshibirye Parahritanta manasak paresha Atona pasyanturugaya nunam Yete padanyasa vilasa laksha Tan, the lotus feet of the Lord. Vai, certainly. He, for. Asat, materialistic. Vitibihi, by those who are influenced by external energy. Akshibihi, by the senses, yea, those, parahrita, missing at a distance, antak manasaha, of the internal mind, paresha, O Supreme, ato, therefore, na, never, pashanti, can see, urugaya, O great, nunam, but, yea, those who, te, your, padanyasa, activities, vilasa, transcendental enjoyment, lakshaha, those who see. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace, Sri A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada. O great Supreme Lord, offensive persons whose internal vision has been too affected by external materialistic activities cannot see your lotus feet, but they are seen by your pure devotees, whose one and only aim is to transcendently enjoy your activities. Purport. As stated in Bhagavad Gita 18:61, the Lord is situated in everyone's heart. It is natural that one should be able to see the Lord, at least within himself. But that is not possible for those whose internal vision has been covered by external activities. The pure soul, which is symptomized by consciousness, can be easily perceived even by a common man, because consciousness is spread all over the body. The yoga system, as recommended in Bhagavad Gita, is to concentrate the mental activities internally and thus see the lotus feet of the Lord within oneself. But there are many so-called yogis who have no concern with the Lord, but are only concerned with consciousness, which they accept as the final realization. Such realization of consciousness is taught by Bhagavad Gita within only a few minutes, whereas the so-called yogis take continuous years to realize it because of their offenses at the lotus feet of the Lord. The greatest offense is to deny the existence of the Lord as separate from the individual souls, or to accept the Lord and the individual soul as one and the same. The impersonalists misinterpret the theory of reflection, and then they wrongly accept the individual consciousness as the supreme consciousness. The theory of the reflection of the Supreme can be clearly understood without difficulty by any sincere common man. When there is a reflection of the sky on the water, both the sky and the stars are seen within the water. But it is understood that the sky and the stars are not to be accepted on the same level. The stars are parts of the sky, and therefore they cannot be equal to the whole. The sky is the whole, and the stars are parts. They cannot be one and the same. Transcendentalists who do not accept the Supreme Consciousness as separate from the individual consciousness are as offensive as the materialists who deny even the existence of the Lord. Such offenders cannot actually see the lotus feet of the Lord within themselves, nor are they even able to see the devotees of the Lord. The devotees of the Lord are so kind that they roam to all places to enlighten people in God consciousness. The offenders, however, lose the chance to receive the Lord's devotees. Although the offenseless common man is at once influenced by the devotee's presence. In this connection, there is an interesting story of a hunter and Devarshi Narada. I don't know if anyone can answer this question, my question. This beautiful painting of Narada Muni on the wall here. Is this the original painting from Bury Place?
That I don't know, but I think I saw it even in Germany. Maybe in Bury Place, but this is a very old painting.
Yeah. When I first came in 1971, this picture was hanging on the wall in the Prasadam room. I'm not saying this absolute one, but exactly the same picture as this. It could well have come over at some point of time.
From Dublin here, you know.
Yeah, it could well have done. I don't know if there's any references there. I would imagine that some of the Dhananjaya Prabhu, some of the devotees who were managing at that time would probably know the history of this painting of Narada Muni. It reminds me of the Prasadam room in Bury Place, which was a little tiny room, very small. I don't know if any of you have ever, probably, I don't know if you Prithu Prabhu were in Bury Place in the early 70s. You must perhaps remember that little tiny prasad room in the basement of Bury Place. And there was Narada Muni hanging on the wall, the transcendental spaceman.
It was in the basement.
In the basement.
I was in that arched room, you know, that arched temple.
Yeah, the boat, upturned boat, the temple. Yeah, upturned boat. They used to call it an upturn. That means a boat upside down. It looked like an upside down boat, the temple room. Shama Sundar, what a genius. He is a genius. Of course, not in every area of life, but certainly in so many areas he was a genius. And that temple room was like completely special.
Somebody said that these arches in Redwood came from Mick Jagger. Is that true?
Came from where?
Mick Jagger donated the money.
Mick Jagger donated the marble slabs for the altar. I'm not sure about the wood in the temple. I don't know about that. But the marble slabs he donated. He paid for the marble slab on the altar.
Good for him.
I never saw him. He wasn't coming to the temple when I was there. George Harrison was, but Mick Jagger was earlier. I don't know if he came any time after. Perhaps he came once or not. I don't know. I never saw him. Yeah, what to do. But the great service, huh? Giving a donation for Radha Landaneshwar's installation. Very special. He's got one house very close to New Mayapur. He has a big house just near New Mayapur in France. About 30 minutes away, a big chateau also. Yeah. He's not there much, but he's sometimes then. A hunter in the forest. This is the interesting story. I'm sure nobody's heard this story before. It's a very rare story, and maybe not so rare, but it used to be very popular, but it's not so common to hear these early stories now. You can read it in Chaitanya Charitamrita also, or in Teachings of Lord Chaitanya. It's a story of Narada Muni and a hunter. And of course, this is a common drama also that devotees would perform. A hunter in the forest, although a great sinner, was not an intentional offender. We often find this, that sinners are, according to, let's say, the law, are often they're not necessarily envious of God or devotees. They're not necessarily great offenders. They're just sinners. They're addicted, you could say, or conditioned to steal, to do other sinful activities, maybe even murder. Magrari, what was his conditioning? He was a hunter. Yes, what was his conditioning?
Like to half kill animals for sport.
Yes, first spot on. To half kill the animals. He didn't kill them completely. He would half kill them, and the poor animals would be in pain. It was a kind of, it's jiva himsa, it's certainly causing suffering to other living entities, but he was simply unconscious in one sense of the nature of what he was doing. He was taught like this by his father, and that's what he knew. Conditioned, huh? He was at once influenced by the presence of Narada, and he agreed to take the path of devotion, leaving aside his hearth and home. So Narada Muni, everything is basically resting on association, isn't it? Even the earlier part of this purport, talking about the theory of reflection, the material world is, the spiritual realm is reflected, you could say, on the material energy, and it comes out in perverted forms. Just like if you have a reflection on a particular object, it reflects according to the object also, in different ways. We're hearing how the sun reflecting on water, but if the water is very muddy and very dirty, there's not much of a reflection. If it's very clear, shiny, pure, then the reflection is maximum. Even a mirror, if the mirror is very dirty, what do you see? Not much. Maybe a dim image, that's all. Almost impossible to decipher what is it. When the mirror is clean and shining, I saw Prithu Prabhu cleaning his spectacles about 5 minutes ago. Presumably they were dirty, and it was difficult to read or what to see. When the mirror is dirty, when the heart is dirty, the example here is the heart, isn't it? The consciousness is covered. You can't see what's there. The Lord is in our heart. He's everywhere. He's everywhere. He's one. But this example given here, that he's reflected everywhere. But we cannot see because we're dull. Our consciousness is dull. It's through the consciousness that the living entity perceives. And we have very covered consciousness. So our perception is very limited according to the coverings. And because everyone's coverings are slightly different, everybody sees the same thing differently. Everyone's consciousness is contaminated. So nothing is clear. Even health-wise, if you're contaminated, nothing is normal. Everything is abnormal. It's asat. The word is mentioned here. Asat. It's external energy, the material energy of the Lord, this ignorance of this material coverings that we're in, which causes the living entity to be, they're influenced by that external energy, and we judge everything according to how we see it through the perverted senses. The consciousness perceives through the perverted, or the material senses, let's say. According to our karma, we have different set of senses, and the living entity travels from body to body, receiving a different set of senses according to their particular karmas. And desire also, the material would exist due to the desire of the living entity to see things separately from Krishna. That's why it's here. It doesn't need to be here otherwise. Krishna doesn't need a material world. If everyone, I don't know, but as far as I understand, in Satya Yuga, there was no need of a prison house. Everyone's in the mode of goodness. The prison house is not an absolute necessity. It becomes a necessity because of the behavior of the citizens. Otherwise, you don't need a prison house. If everyone's pure and pious, no need of a prison house. There's no need of the material world. If every living entity would understand or accept their relationship with Krishna, to see themselves as the servant of Krishna, simultaneously one and different from Krishna. Huh? We have the same quality in minute proportion, but different in quantity, as is mentioned here, the difference between the sky and the stars. They're both, you could say, in one sense, reflected. The individual soul, of course, localized. It's not that we're everywhere, although it says Sarvagata, that means there are souls everywhere. It doesn't mean I'm everywhere. Everywhere there are souls. We're localized. And the Lord appears localized too, to accompany us. The Prabhupada Ishvara Sarvabhutanam Hridesha Arjuna Tishtati. He quotes this verse here, 1861. The Lord is situated in everyone's heart as a super soul, and what's He doing? What's He doing?
Instructing.
Pardon?
Instructing from within.
Yeah, He's guiding the wanderings of all the living entities. He's guiding our wanderings. Some people will, if they hear that, they'll blame Him for everything that's going on. Right? He's guiding me, what could I do? Not my fault, it's His fault, right? He guided me. It wasn't me, it was Him. Some people use this kind of argument. I say usually atheistic type of an argument in one sense. Irresponsible, at least. They take no responsibility. Why is He guiding? We're the living entity who is seated on a machine, as if on a machine made of the material energy. In a car, you may have a navigator guiding you. Huh? Where to go? Left and right. If you go the wrong way, you blame the navigator. So we can blame Krishna or not? Yeah! Chaitanya's getting excited. All my problems are solved now. I can do anything I like and blame Krishna, right? Whatever comes along. Nothing to do with me. You can say it in the courtyard, in the courtroom. No? It wasn't me, it was God. He guided me to do this. You have to take Him to test. You have to try God. And some people do that. At least theoretically. So, is God to blame for this or not? Good question, huh?
Yes and no.
Yes and no. Well, your faith is is still on the edge there. Huh?
He's not blamable.
He's not blamable?
Yes.
Tell Radharani that. Prithu Prabhu.
Everything is done according to the karma of the living entity.
According to the
Karma.
karma of the living entity. Okay, there we go. So karma's to blame.
No, but the karma is, again, everybody creates his own karma.
Everyone creates their own karma. It's a very interesting topic, isn't it? We're not going to go too deep there, but ultimately everything is based on desire, isn't it? Desire. The material world is creation due to the desire of the living entity. Prabhupada writes that in the second canto. The material world exists because of the desire of the living entity.
Oh. Yeah,
Oh.
also the Buddhists would say that desire is the cause of suffering.
There you go. There you go. Can't argue with that one. It can also be the cause of great happiness also. If you're a Buddhist, then they don't know what is that great happiness. You've got to get rid of all desires because it means misery. And there's a partial truth there, but it's not the real truth. It's a reflective truth. When our desire is reflected into this material world, then definitely it is the cause of suffering. But they know nothing of the real world, of who they really are, or the presence of a supreme person with whom you can have a relationship with. When our desires are diverted or channeled, dovetailed, as Prabhupada would say, towards the supreme, then another world opens up, huh? One can then begin to see this material world for what it is. There we go. There we go. That's a good use of a walking stick. They have more than one usage. I hope he's not going to hook it around your neck and now pull you over. Walking sticks have many, many usages. You can bash people with them if you're that way inclined. You can hook them with it. You can use it for walking, of course. You can pass things over with it. I'm sure you know many reasons or usages for a walking stick in Krishna's service. Yeah. It evokes compassion also. Many factors. When they see a walking stick, then people often come to help. Or you get a nice wheelchair when you're in the airport. Looked after. So there are other factors involved. But the main thing we're trying to do in our Krishna consciousness movement, in one sense, we can use that statement in many different ways, of course, but in regards to this is to not just see the dull reflection which we have now and come to conclusions. It's simply all misery. It's simply me and nothing else. Or there's all this duality and we have to establish unity by establishing my opinion. For most people, unity means making things the way they see it. Or the way we see it, if there's a group of them similarly thinking. You remember the old community days in the 70s, Prithu Prabhu? The communities. We would go to 60s and 70s, hippie communities. Huh? The hippie communities. They're all nice idea, love and peace, we all come together with a common idea, we're going to create a society of love and peace. But none of them, practically speaking, lasted, at least not on that basis.
There was one you remember Ken Casey, these people on the bus?
Yeah, Ken Casey, yeah.
There was a devotee, there was a boy, he read the Srimad Bhagavatam in the library. You know that story?
No.
So he came to the conclusion that he wanted to go to India to find this guru.
Oh.
So on the way to the airport, he stopped by Thompson Square area to see what was going on in the area, and he saw that there were people sitting on the Swami. So he listened to the lecture, and then he asked Swamiji, I read this book, and I'm going to go to India to find the author.
The author was sat in front of him. Incredible.
He became a devotee.
You know who that was? Don't know his name. We don't know his name. Don't know his name. Yeah, amazing. Yeah, those were the days. But, it's based on a falsity because we're seeing things according to our karma, which ultimately, of course, we're placed in this world by the Lord, in this reflective world. The Lord places the pure soul in this world and we become covered over by the reflective energy. Why? Because we identify with it. When you identify with something, what happens? Even in our day-to-day business, if you identify with something, what happens?
You act according to
You act accordingly, don't you? Your karma and so on. You act in different ways. If it's you could give unlimited answers. Some people don't like the window open, some people do. Some people are attracted to one girl or one boy and some aren't. Some people like different food and some don't. I would like to thank the devotees, they're not here, but a wonderful feast yesterday. Thank you all very much. If any of you were cooking or helping or whatever. But it wasn't, well, I think, I don't know what everyone else felt. I thought it was a very nice feast. Very nice. You even had was it a cherry chutney, plum chutney, wasn't it? Plum chutney you had yesterday? Plum chutney. Very nice chutney. Radharani apparently likes plum chutney, so I hope she liked it. It was a little spicy, but that's meant to be. Chutney is meant to be spicy, isn't it? Everything else was mild, so that was fine. Next year, if someone can, you have to make nice, beautiful sweet rice with a little camphor in it. Camphor sweet rice, if you know what camphor is Radharani's favorite sweet rice. But you have to know how to do it, otherwise it's unpalatable. Too much or too little, it won't work. Better get the recipe right. So yeah, we all see things differently. One person likes one type of car and another one likes another type of car. Isn't it? And for a dog it's all the same. But when we identify with someone, you watch the television. I'm not suggesting you should watch the television, but you may have watched it at some point of your life, or whatever you watch these days. And, different people react differently to what they see, don't they? Some people go mad when what's going on television really affects them. It may even be a fiction, but still we get really, really affected sometimes, isn't it? You get emotional, you get angry, you get lusty, you get bored, all sorts of things, different emotions. But the dog, if you have a pet cat or a pet dog, probably it means nothing to them. Pretty much nothing. Or another person may mean nothing also. Waste of time, load of rubbish. Not interested. It's the same thing, but the conditioning or the coverings are different. We're seeing it differently. We're spirit souls. Of course there's variety in the spiritual world too, but that's all with Krishna in the center. In this world it's all about me in the center and how I see it. My likes and dislikes. That's the material world. And we miss it because we're so dull, we can't possibly, as Srila Prabhupada mentioned here, we can't possibly see the Lord. What does Prabhupada mean when he says, see the lotus feet of the Lord? It comes up a few times, I think, in this purport. We almost finished the purport, but anyway, we'll finish it in a minute. The lotus feet of the Lord, that they have no ability, the impersonalists who deny God, and the materialists who also deny God, and even the false religionists, or even the mixed religionists, may have some idea, but it's very dull, it's very vague, it's not clear. What does it mean to see the lotus feet of the Lord? It's an interesting question. Pardon? Okay, that's a practical, you could say that's a practical understanding. The acceptance, or understanding what it means to serve the Lord. Let's put it in a little bit more meaningful way. What it means to serve the Lord. It's not just a matter of sentiment. I love God. That's okay. I mean, we're not denying that there's something there. But what does it mean to love somebody? If you love somebody, what does it mean? I mean, in practical terms, what does it mean?
what's the dearest for you.
To serve.
What? Sorry?
To give what's dearest for you.
Okay, that's one side of it, isn't it? To give what's dear to us, we give it to Him. Someone said something on this side?
What did you say? Serve?
To serve, okay. Both these are certainly, you could say, good answers. Can we take it a little further?
To do Krishna what he loves.
Okay, they were taking the service one particularly, both of them, because you may have something very dear to you. For instance, okay, it's the beginning of spiritual life. Say chicken is very dear to you. You love to eat chicken. So you offer chicken to Krishna.
We are most dearest for myself, like materially. So if we devote ourselves to Krishna, that's the biggest what we can offer.
That's a good, yeah, you're right, but I'm taking it to a literal platform here. You may have something very dear to you is, roast chicken. Okay? You love roast chicken, so I'm going to offer roast chicken to Krishna. Okay, it's a start. You can say it's a start. At least there's a sentiment there. But as you said, it's a little bit more than that. What service really means, isn't it? You can have the same example in your family life if you're family members, or in the temple, for instance. You're cooking. You know that, just for instance, give an example, this extreme example. Probably not in a temple, but let's say we're cooking for a group of vegans. I'm not a vegan, but if you're cooking for a group of vegans, and you cook everything with butter, ghee, milk, cream, yogurt, they're not going to be very pleased, are they? I'm not saying they're right, but they're not going to be very pleased. We told you we were vegan. And why have you cooked everything with dairy products? You cook for them. I cook with all my heart for you. It's beautiful food. But they're not very happy about it. Quite the contrary. They get very upset. Same thing in a family. If your mother cooking for the child, to a certain degree, of course, there is some kind of implementation of necessity. But in general, an even better example, the wife is cooking for the husband. Some of you ladies are married. Any of you married? Hands up. Anyone? Don't get too embarrassed here. Some of you are married. I mean, it's an embarrassing question. I assume if you do or don't, I don't know. But you have a husband, and you may cook, or maybe he cooks, whichever way around it is. Ananda Vindam, you cook for your husband? So what do you cook him? Or you cook him? You cook him or you cook for him? Both, okay. So what do you cook for him?
What he likes.
You cook what he likes or what you like? Okay, now we know what the problem is. Okay, anyone else? We're getting to the bottom of the problems here. Good question. I'll have to think about that.
I don't cook what he likes because he's not a vegetarian.
Okay, you got a very good answer there. You're off the hook. That's why you mentioned like that. Her husband's a wonderful man, but he's not following the strict principles. But you cook. He still likes what you cook, doesn't he?
Yeah, he does.
There you go. You're cooking. She cooks as much as possible what he likes, but he's not going to cook everything he likes because he doesn't follow a vegetarian diet. Very amazing, actually. He's a really nice man. So you cook as best you can what he likes. Huh? Anyone else have a husband? Anyone got a husband? What is your husband practicing devotee? Okay. What do you cook? Have you got a husband? No, you don't.
No. I just wanted to suggest you could ask that same question to some of the men.
Yeah, we will do. They don't cook, do they? You guys cook? You have a wife? You cook for your wife?
Yes. She said this is why she married me, but I don't cook anymore.
Okay, there you go. He married you because you're a good cook. Okay. And anyway, this is more, the tradition is the ladies used to cook. I mean, let's stick to a simpler one. So what do you cook for your husband?
Yeah, mostly what he likes.
Mostly, not entirely. What makes him happy? Okay.
What was that?
Huh?
What is it?
What does he cook?
What does she cook?
For husband?
What do you cook? Peter wants to know.
Oh, yeah. Mostly he likes borscht.
Borscht. Her husband likes borscht. John! Peter is a fan of borscht. He knows who to ask to cook for him now. Borscht. Okay. Hope you don't get bored with borscht. What else do you cooking? You're cooking black bread as well?
Yes,
Yeah.
chapati, and he likes the Vedic preparation as well.
Oh, he does. So you cook nice chapatis, huh? Nice chapatis, very nice. Very nice. He likes borscht. Nice borscht. Borscht and chapatis is nice. Borscht with bread. Borscht with bread is more traditional, isn't it? Don't they make nice black bread or something?
Yeah, I just wanted to say, Janananda Swami, if I ever do get married, which I hope I do, since that's the only way I could be able to live in my own house away from the family, and if I do have a wife and I have her do the cooking for me, I would like for her to cook me Thai food, because I really like Thai food.
You like Thai food, huh?
Yeah.
Oh, that's nice. There you go. Okay. That will keep your relationship always tied. You'll be tied. The relationship will be tied. Yeah, you'll be tied. You won't be able to get away. You'll never be able to get away. You'll be tied. Your wife cooks exactly what you want. Anyway, you get the idea. That's the whole idea, is to find out what Krishna likes. Borscht, well, you have to ask him, don't ask me. I don't mind borscht, by the way. When I was in Russia, I regularly had borscht. I don't know if anyone knows how to make first-class black bread. Huh? Yeah? What do you make it out of? Rye. So you can make first-class black bread. Do you like black bread? Yeah, with borscht. You have black bread too, yeah. It's very rare in England, very rare. Very rare. Pardon? Seeds, huh? Yeah.
My father used to say, black bread makes your teeth red.
Makes your teeth black.
Yes, it makes your teeth red.
Huh?
Cheeks red.
Red.
Red cheeks, black teeth.
Black, red.
Because it gives you good digestion.
Good for digestion.
That's right.
You've got to chew it well, though. You've got to chew it properly. You know all the secrets here of black bread. I'm amazed. Anyway, you find out what he likes, whatever it is Krishna likes. I remember one time, there's a funny story. In Kenya, when I was in Kenya in the 70s, they're probably still the same. Has any of you been to Kenya, Uganda? That area, so you'll know what the local delicacy is. You know what it's called? Ugali and marogwe. It's the most amazing preparation. Ugali and marogwe. Ugali and marogwe is maize meal, boiled maize meal. It's really just boiled, simply as that. It's like stodge, like a big plate of stodge. You know the word stodge?
Yeah.
How would you describe that to a Ukrainian? Stodge.
Like cement or something.
Yeah, like cement. It's like sticky, blob of sticky kind of...
Hard.
Yeah, very sticky. It's like starchy, really starchy kind of sticky stuff. I think that was the ugali. It was maize meal, just boiled until it becomes just one blob, a big like lump, solid lump. You get that with semolina sometimes when you cook it. It all forms it's not meant to, but sometimes it forms like a block. It's really unbearable. It's not properly cooked. So. Anyway, they boil it, and they get this lovely, one of them, ugali, I think it is. And then they boil beans, big fat beans with lots of chilies, actually. They like their hot chilies. They boil it in this big pot, and they make it just like cement. They make the maize meal goes on the outside, and they pour it in the middle. And they eat it like monkeys. They like this. And they can eat like 15 kilos each like this, no end how much they can eat. To them it's like, the highlight of the life, is to get a big, an unlimited quantity of ugali and marogwe.
What is it called?
Ugali and marogwe. I can't spell it for her, but that's how they say it. Huh? Marogwe. Ugali and marogwe. He can look it up now.
Magrari.
Not Magari. Something
I
like that.
just wanted to say, I'm just judging by the name. It almost sounds like a dish that originated in Africa.
You're right there. It is really an African dish. All African dish. They love it. And they thought, this will be lovely. We'll offer this to Prabhupada when he comes. And they did. They brought it to Srila Prabhupada when Prabhupada visited Nairobi. And it's a local delicacy, Srila Prabhupada. This is a local dish that everyone loves around here. So they offered it to him. Prabhupada took one mouthful. That was one too many. So this, he said, I mean, with no disrespect, but Prabhupada said, this is not fit for horses. But they, you know.
You mean not for horses?
So.
I want to have that story. Tell it to the guys I'm in Vrindavan. They all Kenyan people don't love that story.
Well, we'll tell you later. I'm going to go over the same thing again. There might be someone listening online. But anyway, the point is that everyone has their likes and dislikes, don't they? And some people hate, of all things, I can't understand it, they hate English cuisine. They can't believe, I can't understand anyone who cannot. English cuisine is the best cuisine on the planet. There's no doubt about that. There's nothing like fish and chips. There's nothing like bubble and squeak. I mean, where can you get bubble and squeak like you do in England? There's nowhere in the world that people cook bubble and squeak like they do in England. Huh? What was that?
Sauerkraut.
Sauerkraut?
Sauerkraut.
Sauerkraut. Kraut, sauerkraut. Ugh. 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 Terrible preparation. Disgusting. Absolutely disgusting.
Yeah, it's basically just pickled shredded lettuce.
You know, people say that about everything, you know. Oh, terrible, disgusting, you know. And, you know, everyone's got their own opinion because we're all conditioned. It's not that it's right or wrong. Don't get that wrong. It's just everyone has a different opinion because it's different food in different modes of nature. And people are conditioned by different modes according to their karma and ultimately by their desire. So the real root is changing our desire, changing the desire or the consciousness of the living entity. That's where the root starts. Or no, starts maybe, but that's where we have to work on. We may work through the senses, we may work by environmental arrangements, so many things may be there, but ultimately it's to change our consciousness so that it's no longer cloudy. And when we come in contact, just like today, I don't know what the weather's like. What's it like?
Normal.
Like yesterday. That's one good thing about Inish Rath. The weather's pretty stable. It's always overcast, rainy, and occasionally the sun shines, and occasionally the wind blows like crazy. It stopped. The day before yesterday, it's like this gale, then stop. It's like...
Everglades.
Ever what?
Everglades in America.
Everglades, huh?
These are the Everglades.
Evergaze.
These are the Everglades.
Evergraze. It was Evergaze.
Yeah, I know what you're trying to talk about. You're talking about the Everglades in Florida. I've been.
Ah, yeah. And here we have the Evergraze. But it's funny. You know, you've got to see Krishna in every picture. You know, that's the secret. No matter what the picture is, it might be gray, it may be gay, it may be whatever it may be. You've got to see Krishna there somehow or another in every situation. He's guiding the living entities according to their desire. And the devotee, just like Narada Muni, here we have Magari, the hunter, the enemy of the animals. It means the enemy of animals. Here he is, half killing, torturing the animals. And Narada Muni comes along and, you know, breaks his fun, basically. What are you doing? Get out of here. What are you doing? Look, a saintly man. Why are you doing this? And by a little bit of association of Narada, Magari changed his whole consciousness. It depends on association. Everything depends on association. Everything depends on association. Where would we be if Prabhupada hadn't come to the Western world? Where would people be now if Prabhupada hadn't left his books? Where would we be? Be lost, huh? Completely lost. Totally. Even if we were on some pseudo-spiritual path, it'll be complete speculation or dead-end path of some kind. Prabhupada clarified everything. When I read the first Back to Godhead magazine, at that time I was very community-oriented. I wanted to live in community. When I read that, and I wanted spirituality, I didn't know what it was much, but something, I guess. Wanted to be with people with a similar intention and something spiritual, and do something good for the world. Don't just live in the world, but try to do something beneficial, whatever that is. Everything very vague. But when I read the first Back to Godhead magazine, everything became clear. Like the light came on. Prabhupada shines the light in the darkness, and you can see. You can't see in the darkness, it's all vague. Everyone, this material is a dark place, everyone's in the darkness. And when there's a little reflection, you get some idea, but it's very vague. It's like Plato's cave or something. Everyone's heard that story, Plato's cave. It's like you get some perverted picture of what the truth is. Because you're in the cave. You don't know what's outside. You're judging things according to whatever little light you get there. Even the sun is a reflection of the Brahmajyoti, Krishna's energies coming into this universe, giving a little so-called light in the universe. But it's still not the right thing. How much pleasure, how much reality can you get from a reflection? Can you enjoy a reflection? Can you enjoy a shadow? Very limited, huh? Huh? Even a picture. It reminds us, but you can't really, you can't. What can you do? You kiss it if you want. People do sometimes. You can decorate it. You can think about it. You can touch it, the picture. But there's nothing. It's like there's nothing there, These stories. There's nothing in this. It's just a reflection or image. Image. It's an image. They say that about deity worship. It's imagery. Huh? Idolatry. They just see it. Because they're covered. They cannot see. Their hearts probably say, like stone, they see stone. If your heart is stone, you'll see stone. If you have a wooden heart, you'll see wood. It'll purify our heart. That means purify our conscience. Then the Lord will reveal himself. So this humility, a little humble. That yes, I don't know. Who am I to say? We hear from authority, the mercy of the Lord's lotus feet. It's like Prabhupada writes in the 4th canto that the words of the pure devotee they're enriched with transcendental vibrations because they're emanating from the lotus feet of the Lord. The saffron dust of the Lord's lotus feet comes into this world through the sound of the pure devotees, their words. We just have to pay oral attention to their words. And it would change our consciousness because those words have come down from the lotus feet of the Lord. They picked up that saffron dust of the Lord's lotus feet and they are changing the consciousness of this dark world, this material world, this covered world. Meditating on the lotus feet of the Lord is described. Where is that verse? I can't remember. Somebody looked it up the other day, but they didn't mind to give me the reference. There's a beautiful verse which describes how Lord Shiva takes the Ganga water on his head, on his hair, and then it goes throughout the whole universe. So it's said that he becomes even more auspicious because of the touch of the water which has touched the lotus feet of the Lord, the Ganga, which comes down from the toe of the Lord into this universe. Vamade's big toe, pop, and the Ganga comes in. So that water is all auspicious. And Lord Shiva takes that water on his head, and he becomes even more auspicious. Because meditating or touching the lotus feet of the Lord is most beneficial. It says that lotus feet, the water, and the lotus feet of the Lord, the water has washed his lotus feet, it acts just like the thunderbolt of Lord Indra. Lord Indra is famous. He has his thunderbolt. With his thunderbolt, he can smash mountains. Smash the mountain to pieces, to dust practically, with his thunderbolt. And then in purport, I think it's in the purport, it describes that the heart is like a mountain of sin. A mountain of sin. It seems to be unbreakable almost. Mountain of sin. It never seems to stop. It's so stubborn. But that mountain of sin can be smashed by meditating upon the lotus feet of the Lord. They act just like the thunderbolt of Indra, which smashes the mountains to pieces. So therefore, Prabhupada says, therefore the meditative yogi must meditate for a long, long time. But the devotee, we're taking shelter of those lotus feet. The fish takes shelter of the ocean. Now, if we're dumped in the ocean, in the middle of the great ocean, how far can you swim? In the middle of the Pacific, how far can you swim? Maybe more than me. How far can you swim?
I heard that the fishermen, they don't know how to swim, to drown quicker.
The fishermen, they're fishermen. They may not even know how to swim. But how far can we swim? Maybe a mile or two. I don't know how far people can swim.
With your clothes on.
Less.
Very good.
Very difficult. Yeah. But for the fish, the great ocean is shelter, isn't it? He's sheltered. Prabhupada gives this example. He says, they have taken shelter of the ocean. They have nothing to fear.
Yeah, anyway, what you said about how the fishermen can't swim, it kind of makes...
Get the right quote. I didn't say that. He said that one.
Yeah, I just wanted to say, it kind of gives off a very hilarious sense of irony because the fishermen are hunting creatures that are living their lives as swimming in the water, but yet they do not know how to swim themselves. So they would need a boat in order to be able to catch the fish.
Correct. And a net. They need a few features. That's a fact. It's pretty hard to catch fish without a net or a spear or something.
Or a pole.
A pole, a spear.
Yeah, but I was talking about that they would need something to get them a little bit more closer in the water so
You're
that they
correct.
can catch more fish.
Correct. Completely correct. That's absolutely true. They themselves do not know. And that's what's happening in this material world. So many people are saying, I can help you. I can save you. But they themselves are not saved. They themselves are in the material world. If ever you've seen quicksand, I don't know if you have quicksand or something like it. You have bogs here in Ireland, isn't it? Can you sink in the bog?
Yeah.
You can you can die if you get caught in a bog.
Oh yeah, I actually remember
let's finish off the bog first. I hope you don't die in a bog. And bog in English means toilet, by the way, but anyway, another thing. So just imagine it's like you know what quicksand is? Yeah, okay. So one person's in the quicksand, another person's in the quicksand, but they're a bit higher in the quicksand than you are. Don't worry, I can help you, hold my hand. You're like up to here. You hold that. Maybe they can pull you a little bit, but they go down a little bit more as they pull you up a little bit more. And slowly you're both going down again. Because they're also in the quicksand. No? They can't save us. You've got to be on the solid land, isn't it? To save us. Somebody has to be out of the darkness in order to give us light. Tamasi mam jyotir gamaha. Out of the darkness into the light. Umagyana timrandasya gananjana shlaka. They open our eyes, which are blinded with the darkness of ignorance. They give us knowledge. That knowledge is coming. The lotus feet of the Lord. In the Bhagavad Gita, the ignorance says, what's it? That's the verse. Doubts in your heart which have arisen out of ignorance should be slashed with the weapon of knowledge. Therefore, armed with yoga, stand and fight. Yoga. That doesn't mean standing on your head. It means the linking process with Krishna. The process of seeing Krishna in the center. In our hearts also. As the heart becomes cleansed, then we'll feel the presence of the Lord within our own heart, within our own selves. And ultimately a relationship with the Supreme. I'll finish the purport. But the offenders, Nalakuvara and Manigriva, even though living amongst the demigods, had to undergo the punishment of becoming trees in their next lives. They were like Everglades almost, even more so. They were Arjuna trees. You know what Arjuna trees are? They became Arjuna trees. Have you ever seen Arjuna trees? You've been, huh?
Why they are called Arjuna trees?
I don't know. Maybe because they're strong and stable like Arjuna. I've got no idea. They have them in Mauritius, perhaps quite a few other countries. East, they're called.
Medicine comes from Aruna tree.
That's a little different, isn't it? Arjuna or Aruna. Aruna and Arjuna. I don't know if it's the same, maybe. But these Arjuna trees are very unique. They're powerful trees, but the most powerful thing is their roots. Their roots are extremely strong and big. Big roots. They have to survive hurricanes and tornadoes, or whatever you call it, cyclones. So they have really strong roots. So Nalakuvara and Manigriva, they took birth in the courtyard, of course, of Nanda Maharaj eventually, as Arjuna trees. So you can understand they had really big roots, not easy to pull out the ground. People have big roots in this world, pretty hard to pull them out the ground. But Krishna pulled them out, without even, it's not like he was pulling like, who's a strong man, Samson or something, Atlas. He wasn't like, It wasn't like that. Nonchalantly crawling across the floor as if nothing was happening. The mortar stuck between these two Arjuna trees. Boom! Without any ado, the trees crashed to the ground. The roots just whipped out of the ground just like that. Massive roots. Just flew out the ground. No effort practically. Just fun. Just fun. And the pure devotee, like he rips our roots out the ground. Eh? Incredible. I mean, it may take a little more time. We may be a little stubborn. We don't hear. We don't surrender. We don't accept, whatever it may be. So our root's still there, Takes a little longer. But if we surrender, as someone said yesterday, how long does it take, How long does it take? You were saying that? You said that. Well, tell me what you said.
Yeah,
Melbourne.
Prabhupada was asked, how long does it take surrender? And Prabhupada said, immediately.
One moment.
One moment.
Just like King Katvanga, huh? In a moment he surrendered. But generally it is a moment, but generally that moment takes a little time to come. It takes a little time for that moment to come. It's a gradual process for most people. To completely get the roots out the ground, completely let go of all of our attachments, all of our insurance policies in this world, all of our desires to see things separately from Krishna, and completely surrender unto Him. Great, if we can do it. Hopefully we're on the path. So Manigriva and Nalakuvara, they were delivered but it took a long time. Thousands of years they were stood there. And you know one thing? Interesting story. Kartik's coming up. So it says, the Kartik Mahatmya, at least it states there that Krishna, why didn't Krishna do it earlier? Prabhupada said the same thing, you weren't ready. So the time wasn't right. Why you didn't come earlier? The time wasn't right, you weren't ready. So it wasn't quite right yet. When Krishna was tied up with the ropes of Mother Yasoda and tied to that mortar, he said, of course he knows everything and says everything, but in that situation, he felt what it was like to be tied up like that, to be stuck on the spot, like the Arjuna trees were, tied up like they were, Manigriva and Nalakuvara. And so then Krishna, feeling what they were feeling, thought, okay, now's the time. When you know what it's like, then you can, really feel for others. Otherwise, we're still seeing ourselves in the center. We're still thinking of what I want and what I like. Even though we're preaching Krishna consciousness, we're still discriminatory in terms of our own acceptance and rejection. We're not beyond that. Trees always, although by the grace of a devotee, they were later delivered by the Lord. And again, the grace of Narada Muni, they were delivered by the Lord. Offenders have to wait until they receive the mercy of devotees. There we go. And then they can become eligible to see the lotus feet of the Lord within themselves. The whole thing about association of devotees helps to bring about this opportunity. But due to their offenses and their extreme materialism, they cannot see even the devotees. They don't even want to associate with devotees. The devotee is their best friend? No. Get out of here. Go away. Arrest them. Get rid of them. They're dangerous. Engage in external activities, they kill the internal vision. That's why it says that they are killers of the soul. Only those who are, what's that verse in the Bhagavatam? How does it go? How does it start? Forgotten. That only those who are killers of animals or killers of the soul. Oh, nivrittatar shiv pagiyamanad bhavoshiti chotamanobiran. Kuntama shloka granana vadata. I've forgotten the last line. It means that this hearing and chanting about Krishna acts just like medicinal effect. Oshadi on the heart. Purifies the heart. Simply by hearing and chanting. And this message, except for those who are killers of others, killers of the animals, and killers of the self. Here we see killers of the self. They kill their own consciousness, basically speaking. They kill the internal vision. They have no internal vision, only external. They see everything external. Everything. There is no internal vision. The Lord's devotees, however, do not mind the offenses of the foolish in their many gross and subtle bodily endeavors. They don't mind. The Lord's devotees continue to bestow the blessings of devotion upon all such offenders without hesitation. That is the nature of devotees. Let's see the compassion. Even though they're offenders, we were hearing last week, we had sessions on Haridas Thakur and how merciful he was to those Muslim guards who were trying to beat him to death. So much so that even the Sudarshan couldn't kill them, because Haridas is praying that please be merciful to them. Don't take any offense. Please deliver them.
There is an interesting story. When we were living in Castlefield House, not Castlefield, Montrose Square. You've been in that place?
Where? In Dublin.
Dublin.
Yeah.
So on the other side there was this kind of shed, vegetable shed. There was a guy who sold vegetables. And he was extremely envious of us. He would tell bad things to all his customers. They're very bad people, the Hare Krishna, etc. And sometimes he came on was swearing at us, So I had a big van there, Sankirtan van, parking on the other side of the road in front of the temple, packing the Sankirtan van. And he came out and he cursed at us, and yelled and screamed, And I said, just get lost, I became angry, So he rushed to screamed, you Hare Krishnas, ran towards me and stumbled and fell with his head to the curb and his head cracked open, his brain came out. He died on the spot. And an old woman came by out of nowhere and said, he got some mercy. And then she left. It was a very amazing incident.
Goodness. Just see the benefit of associating with devotees. Whoa. Praise you. I'll tell a bit more positive one, okay? Similar story. A little bit of a more positive effect. There was this one man in Portobello Road in 1971. I won't tell his name. I know his name, but I won't tell it. He had a fruit and vegetable store in the market in Portobello Road in London. And every week on Sunday morning, devotees, we would go down. I was doing that, but this incident took just before I joined. Every week the devotees would go down to Portobello Road to chant and dance in Portobello Road. Harinam. Okay? Sunday, every morning. 3 hours. And this man hated the devotees. He would shout and scream and swear and all sorts of things, throw things at them. You know, he would save up his rotten tomatoes and pelt the devotees with his rotten tomatoes, you know. And one day his wife came along to the store. She was a devout Christian, you know, real so-called Christian. And he was supposed to be one too. She said, what are you doing? These people are worshiping the devil. Get out of here, the devil. They was like, oh, listen. She said, I don't care who they are. You know, Christians are supposed to love their neighbors, they love themselves. There. And she kind of, she was a bit henpecked. She calmed him down a bit. She calmed him down. The wife calmed him down. He was really angry. Every week this was going on, week after week after week after week. He would attack the devotees with tomatoes and shout at them. They'd have to go around. And anyway, she said, look, I don't like, you can't do this. You have to apologize to them. We don't even know who they are. You have to apologize to these people. They're devil worshippers. He was like really, you know, adamant. But eventually she convinced him, you have to apologize. You have to apologize. And so, and she took him and they went, and he thought, you'll see what they're like when you try to talk to these people. They're real demons, you know. And, you know, the doors knew this man very well. They see him every week, you know. And eventually his wife brought him in front of the doors. The doors, they were so nice to this man. They were so kind to the wife and the husband. They were so friendly. They weren't at all angry, in no way. And the wife was like, looking at her husband, what's wrong with you? They're nice people. They may not be Christians, but they're not bad people. Why you behave like this? All right, then I won't throw tomatoes at them anymore. And he kind of calmed down and stopped throwing tomatoes and stopped screaming his head off. And after a while, then the devotees were bringing him gifts. They were, you know, every week they were bringing prasadam, you know. And slowly he started to accept it. With his wife was there particularly. They started accepting prasadam. Then after a few more weeks, he started giving them baskets of tomatoes instead of throwing them. Proper tomatoes. You see, because the devotees, they weren't angry. They received him as if, you know, a wonderful story. And then by the time I joined, he was coming to the temple and chanting Hare Krishna. We got initiated together on Trafalgar Square. He and his wife both got initiated. Isn't it wonderful? Transformation by association.
Hey, did you hear that? Yeah.
His name was Bhakti Pramod. I can't remember his wife's name. Bhakti Pramod probably gave the name Bhakti Pramod.
Yeah. Anyway, I just wanted to say your story reminded me of another story that another friend of mine who is also a devotee told me, where like you know how that
He's pinched your chair.
So anyway, you know how earlier so basically in that story, you know, that man that you told us about, who would pelt the devotees with rotten tomatoes, like you know how he basically foolishly thought that we were worshiping the devil. Yeah, so basically in this story that I remembered, like this happened somewhere in California, like I think in LA or something like that, and basically like it happened during Rath, and then all of a sudden there were some Christian preachers, like one of them was dressed up as a cow, holding up a sign saying, and he started saying, you're going to hell, and I think he might have been dressed up in a cow costume just so then he could, criticize the fact that we worship cows, because in Christianity, like there is no such thing as worshipping of cows or any other animal for that matter.
Dogs and
therefore
cats.
they think that sort of thing is pagan.
They worship dogs, don't
and
they?
So therefore and so therefore they were saying that we're going to go to hell because of that.
Uh-huh.
And
Yeah.
then,
Well, that's about as far as I got.
Okay. Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna. Well, we wish everyone all the very best, and Hare Krishna. Whatever we identify with being a particular religion or not a religion or whatever it is. A devotee is a well-wisher of everyone. And even though they don't like what we're doing, we still try to find a way of giving Krishna consciousness in the form of prasadam or whatever it may be, some form of something which will bring them closer to Krishna, if possible. Devotees are oceans of compassion, as Prabhupada said here. The devotees go everywhere. In the Bhagavad Gita, Krishna says also, although their activities are of inferior in nature and the devotees shouldn't disturb them, Prabhupada says the devotees are more merciful than Krishna. Even they go out of their way to persons who are inimical and preach Krishna consciousness. Krishna also says we should act in ways, to actually help them to become Krishna conscious, to gradually bring them to the platform of Krishna consciousness. They're very rooted in their identifications, very deep, whether it's physical, mental, society, whatever it is, very attached. We're all coming from various degrees of attachment, but certainly a certain degree of detachment was there for most devotees before they came. We did a survey at one time in England, I think Amita did it. I think he found about 80 or 90% of devotees were vegetarians before they came to Krishna consciousness. About 80 or 90% of devotees were already vegetarians when they took up Krishna consciousness. Yeah. It was the survey. We did a survey in England, and of all the devotees, over 80, maybe more than 90% were already vegetarians when they first decided to take up any form of Krishna consciousness. A certain degree of renunciation was there, acceptance that maybe everything I know is not all that is to be known, or whatever it is. Some kind of humility. Hare Krishna.
Yes, I want, if I can, about when you talked about to cook what for Krishna what he likes. So it's
I like that part of the class. Yeah, it's my favorite part.
Yeah, so the interesting point. I just found out myself, and then I also found so. We can know what Krishna likes from Yashoda. Even Radharani learns from Yashoda what to cook for Krishna. So it's the same as a husband. If you want to please the husband, you actually need to ask your mother, because your mother knows what...
Very good point. That's a really essential point, isn't it? In spiritual life, so who do we ask? Mother Yashoda?
No, Guru.
Oh, Guru. Okay, that's good. Whew. I was getting worried. Fortunately, Mother Yashoda and all the pure Radhagatmakas, the pure devotees in the spiritual world, they do make that available. They send their representatives to teach us how we can please Krishna. They're coming down from the lotus feet of the Lord to give us that opportunity to hold on to those lotus feet of the Lord and go back to Godhead. Through their grace, we can learn how to please Krishna. Guru, disciplic succession, that knowledge is coming down, that information is coming down, that lifeline is coming down to us to give us that chance. We just have to take hold of it. As Prabhupada said, just hold on to my dhoti, using that as a terminology. But hold my dhoti and I'll take you back to Godhead. Just hold on to the instructions of the spiritual master, sincerely, and progress out of this darkness into the light. Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Gora Premanandi, Hari Hari Bol.